The Rise Guys Morning Show. 93.3 The Planet.
It's like Groundhog Day right now.
Yes, sir.
24 hours ago, we did the same thing, but it wasn't anything that anybody could control because the liaisons or the A&R or whoever, somebody wrote down Central Time yesterday. So yesterday when we promoted that Chris Jericho was going to be on with us, we were like, oh, my God, where's Jericho?
We know what kind of guy Y2J is. He would never stand us up, so it's not his fault.
No.
Never.
So here we are, and here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, Chris Jericho. Chris, good morning. How are you, sir?
Well, I do have a little bit of semblance of guilt for missing yesterday's show.
Yes, sir.
But I have so much press right now and so much stuff going on that I really didn't know about it. So I slept in. That was the thing, and I had no idea I was supposed to call your show. So today we had 4 alarms set. We had 4 personal assistants waking up at various moments during the morning to make sure I did not miss my appointment with you guys today.
Well,
here I am.
I'm glad to hear it. Also glad to hear that you got to sleep in anymore because I follow you on social media. How do you relax? Because touring with Fozzy, wrestling for anybody you want to, you got your radio show on Sirius, you've got the Jericho Cruise coming. I mean, when do you ever hang out? And when do you ever chill? You're married with 3 kids, too.
Well, you know, the old adage, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That is kind of the story because, you know, chilling out and hanging out is what I do for a living, basically. I'm very lucky about that.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously you love rock and roll. You love wrestling. So really, I mean, you've never worked a day in your life, according to you, right?
Well, and that's what I kind of set out to do since I was a kid. I wanted to be in a rock and roll band and I wanted to be a wrestler. So that's why I have a chance to do these things because, you know, it was a lot of sacrifice to get to this point. But here I am doing both of them at the highest of levels. And, like you just said, you know, it seems like I'm always busy, and I am always busy, but I'm busy doing stuff that I love. So busy. And that's the secret. Can continue to do what you love to do and enjoy yourself in the meantime. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll just sit down in front of the TV and just chill out if I'm at home.
Yeah.
But my mind starts turning and rolling and moving anyway. So it's just how I'm built, it's how I'm wired. And it's how it is for me.
Well, so Saturday night, as you well know, I'm sure your 4 PAs told you of this. You're going to be in Greenville here at the Firmament, brand new venue, which is it's great. I've been there and checked out shows. Fozzy will be there with Adelita's Way. You can get your tickets at firmamentgvl.com. Okay, so we're going to talk music, but I mean, you know, I'm a huge wrestling fan, so I'm watching All In, the big pay-per-view that Cody and the Bucks and everybody put together, and there you are. Out of nowhere, I'm watching Kenny Omega and Pentagon go at it, and then the lights go out, and a guy who the day before I think was in Japan is in Chicago, Illinois, showing up at the All In pay-per-view. How did you keep your? Go ahead.
I was not in Japan. We were on tour with Fozzy, and I was in Little Rock, Arkansas. I flew to Chicago, did the All In appearance, and then we took a private jet to Kansas City to play the show that night for at the Fozzy gig as well. So not quite as exotic as you're saying.
Well,
but it was a pretty cool moment, though.
Well, we're speaking with Chris Jericho now, and if you're a wrestling fan, you recognize the voice. You know that. But how is it that? You know, we hear about, this guy over here wants to go here and wrestle, but he can't. Or this guy wants to go here and wrestle, but can't. But you literally you could turn on Raw. You might be there for WWE. You might be on Ring of Honor. You might be in New Japan or All In. How is it that I think you're the only guy maybe in the history of professional wrestling that can work for any promotion he wants to? How'd this happen?
I really don't know, man. It's funny because I think when you don't care and don't have any inhibitions about what you're doing, you can just kind of make things happen. Like I said, for me, the priority has been Fozzy for the last 8 years or so, and so everything I do is based around our schedule. Mm-hmm. And when we're not touring with the band, then I might have some time to go back into wrestling. The All In thing was just a cool moment that we figured out we could make it work with. I had this show in Kansas City on the same night. We don't cancel shows. We don't move shows. And it just worked out. We used, a private jet, this, that, and the other thing. But had I not been able to get that jet, I wouldn't have been at All In because, like I said, Fozzy's the number one kind of priority for us right now. So as far as going wherever I want, I don't know how it happened. It's just one of those things because I didn't care, and I'm still good at what I do. You can kind of make your own rules when you're in that position. And it's like kind of, if you want to use me, I'll be there. If you don't, I really don't care. And because Fozzy is the priority, it kind of gives you a whole new realm of opportunities, I guess.
Jeez, that's a nice life. Fozzy, Chris Jericho, of course, his band Fozzy will be performing in Greenville at the Firmament with Adelaide's Way this coming Saturday night. You showed up at All In to get back at old Kenny Omega, a guy that a lot of people are calling the greatest active wrestler out there today. Now, obviously, you're still active, so maybe we don't agree with that. But is he the best purebred wrestler out there today, do you think?
Dude, I don't know, man. Like I said, I worked with him one time at the Tokyo Dome. He's amazing. But the thing is, there's a whole new kind of generation of guys in the business now that are becoming very well-known and making a lot of money on their own outside of the world of WWE. And that's cool to see because it just makes the business more exciting. It makes the business more popular, and it gives guys more options. So is Kenny the best? I don't know, but he's one of the best at making a lot of money and becoming, very well known and having a lot of notoriety outside of the WWE bubble. Yeah. And that's something that hasn't been able to happen for 10, 20 years, 25 years even. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, like yesterday, Chris, when we put up, you were going to be on the show and this and that, so many comments, GOAT, put the emoji of a goat on there. How do you feel about that? I mean, obviously, all the work, blood, sweat, and tears that you've done, that's got to be incredible for people to think of you that way. But who is the GOAT in professional wrestling? Is there more than one? Because I feel there is.
Well, the greatest of all time, you can't have more than one. So
I say, okay.
You make up your mind and choose. No, you can't. It's the greatest of all time. It's not the greatest of all time.
That's what I said yesterday because
I guess it all depends on what your opinion is and who you feel is the best and who you feel is your favorite.
I think it's Chris Jericho. And I'm not saying that because you're on the phone right now.
No, it's cool, man.
As far as entertainment goes, all the way around, I mean, from promo to entrances to Ralphus to Jericho security to everything, all around, match-wise, everything, it's Chris Jericho. And that's got to be just a humbling thing to hear. Not because it's me, but thousands and millions of people say this to you. That's got to really just make it all worthwhile right there.
Well, I mean, if you feel that and other people feel that, that's very cool. I mean, it's not something I don't ever really think about. I think that probably Wayne Gretzky doesn't feel that he's the greatest hockey player of all time, or I don't think Eddie Van Halen thinks he's the greatest guitar player of all time.
Right.
It's like I'm just a guy that I do the best that I can with what I do, and whether it's wrestling, whether it's music, like we just said earlier, you have a good time enjoying what you do in life. And when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be in a rock band, and I wanted to be a wrestler. And here we are now at the highest of levels in both. You might think GOAT in wrestling, which is great. And in Fozzy, we have 3 top 20 singles off the Judas record, and having successful tours everywhere we go. So it's exciting for us to be able to play in Greenville, in South Carolina, and all across the board. Like I said, I just work hard at what I do. And if you think GOAT or not GOAT or whatever and everything in between. I'm just enjoying myself, and that's the most important thing.
That's the American dream. I mean, you think Dusty Rhodes, but
the
American
dream.
I forget. Well, that's true. Well, it's North American dream. We'll go with that. Chris Jericho, his band Fozzy performing at the Firmament here in Greenville this coming Saturday night with Adelaide's Way. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7:30. Real quick, so back to being able to show up wherever you want to wrestle for however you want to, this and that. Without saying his name, I have a friend that wrestles for WWE, and I asked him, I said, tell me something about Jericho that's not on these websites, it's not on a podcast or something. And he told me that he's pretty sure you're one of only 10 wrestlers to ever have a meeting at Vince McMahon's house. Any true?
I don't think that's true.
No,
and that was 20 years ago now. So I'm sure a lot of people have been at Vince's house. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was there. 20 years ago. I barely remember it. I think it's been built up more in my mind than it was anywhere else. But yes, I was at his house.
But the word is you two are very close together, and you maybe even look to him, and this is just based off of rumors, but you look to him as maybe a mentor in the world of wrestling. Is there a mentor in the world of rock and roll for Chris Jericho? Is there a Vince McMahon of rock and roll?
It's hard to say, man. I've been fortunate to have a lot of friends over the years. I mean, Paul Stanley's been pretty influential, not just in the band, but in my life. So. Yeah. I'll say Paul. He's a great guy. He's obviously been around, knows exactly what's going on. I don't really ask him questions about rock and roll, but it's a guy that I can go to about certain aspects, in life in general and talk to.
Yeah. It's solid to have that in your life. Maybe not necessarily a father figure, but just somebody that can, lead you in the right direction for this and that. Chris Jericho, the band Fozzy performing at the Firmament this coming Saturday night. When you work out, what kind of music do you listen to? Can you work out to non-rock and roll music, Chris? I find that I cannot. If you think about that for a minute, like when you work out, what is the general music are we listening to? Are we listening to some Halloween? Are we listening to some Ronnie James? What are we listening to?
Just a little bit of everything. I love Halloween. I love Dio. I love Greta Van Fleet. That's a pretty cool new band that just is coming out now. So I kind of just listen to whatever it seems cool to me. I have a lot of songs on the old phone. I put it on shuffle.
Yeah.
And whatever comes up, comes up. Spotify. I've been going through a big 70s phase. I put on this Spotify playlist called 70s Road Trip, which is always cool to hear. So. Yeah, man, anything that's got a groove and a vibe to it, I'm into.
Good. Do you ever work out to Fozzy? Is that possible? I mean, seriously, can you work out?
Sure, of course. I mean, that's not so much now, but when you first do a record, you listen to it quite a bit as you're kind of getting into the vibe and the groove of it. So I haven't listened to Judas much lately because we play the whole damn thing every night.
Sure, yeah.
But when it first comes out, you're listening to it and checking out, the little intricacies of every song on it. But yeah, I think after a while, you don't listen to your own tunes because you're playing them all the time.
Yeah. And just imagine, hey, Chris, what are you working out to? Oh, I'm listening to myself right now. I mean, that's got to be. Yeah, of course.
Like I said, when you're creating a piece of art,
yes,
like you do when you do a record, you listen to it over and over again. Like I said, to make sure, is everything the way you want it, and all that sort of thing. But once the album comes out, you kind of stop doing that. So
absolutely, God, man, I'm so envious of you right now. Like you're getting paid and getting paid well to do what you love. I mean, that's really what it's all about, man. And when it's all said and done, who else can say that they've been able to be what many call the greatest of all time on one side, and on the other side, something that you love and do, and you've got people buying your music and going to your concerts. When it's all done, which ring means more to you? I don't even know if they give you one in this one, but what would mean more? A Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction or a WWE Hall of Fame induction?
You know what, man? I don't really look too much into those things. I just enjoy doing what I'm doing, and people say, what would you choose if you had to choose one? And the good thing is I don't have to choose one. I've focused my entire life on both of these dreams and both of these goals, and both of them have come true. So the fact I get to do it at all is an honor for me, and we're excited, man. In Greenville, I'm not sure we've ever been in Greenville before. I think we have, but it's been a long time. So, this tour has been super successful. We've been playing sellout shows. We sold out Charlotte last night.
Yeah.
Sold out Louisville the night before that. So it's just a great time, man. It's rock and roll with a smile. We make sure to have a good time and make sure that everybody in the audience has a good time. And that's kind of the vibe of Fozzy. That's why I think we've got to the heights that we have, because we make sure that people have a good time when they come to our shows.
Well, I will be there Saturday night. I know everybody will be at the Firmament to see Chris Jericho and Fozzy perform. Adelita's Way will be there as well. Tickets at firmamentgvl.com. Listen, this was great to speak with you. Shout out to the Duke. Let Rich know that we said hello. He's always been just incredibly nice to us, and we love Stuck Mojo and just big fans of his. Just real down-to-earth guy. You know that. But tell him that we said hello.
Yeah, great guy. He'll be there, man. He's off his rocker on this tour. So
it's almost 20 years into Fozzy now. Almost 20 years that the band is almost 20 years old. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. And like I said, I think it's probably 2010 when we decided that Fozzy was the priority for our careers.
Yeah. And
ever since we decided that, things have just gone through the roof. So it's a very cool time for us, and we're super excited to come to Greenville, and we'll see you on Saturday night.
Saturday night at the Firmament, Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, and if you ask me, the greatest of all time, Chris Jericho. Thank you, brother. We'll see you on Saturday night.
Cheers, man. We're looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a show that you don't want to miss. See you on Saturday, guys.
Yeah, yes, sir. Chris Jericho, everybody. Chris Jericho, Y2J.
Rise Guys.
I just want to call up and say that your show is some kick ass. Keep up the good work.
Carolina's #1 morning show.
I don't know what I'd do without listening to y'all's show every day. I'd be bored as hell.
93.3 The Planet.